I'm one of these people. It took a while to get sober. I had a long stretch of sober time, and I had to reset it. Yeah, I just get going on this. So, forgive the. I was brought up in AA for most of my recovery. If you're familiar with AA, and if you were one of the lucky ones who only has one sober date, you basically got sober right off the bat and didn't have to experience slipping and relapsing, I say congratulations to you. However, this particular video, you're going to have a disconnect with, because for the rest of us, which is most of us, we've had a slip or two or years of slips before we finally got the hang of this thing. So this video is for those people, and I'm one of them. This video is for those people, and I'm one of them. It took me 3.5 years, and actually I was trying to get sober at the age of 25. I didn't find AA for a couple years after that, and it took me 3.5 years in AA, throwing everything in the kitchen sink at it: therapy, meditation, acupuncture, AA, everything I could find. Good sponsorship, the whole thing. It took me 3.5 years of falling on my face every 2 weeks, every month. I'd get a couple months before I finally got a long stretch of sobriety. And if you were like me, especially if you were in the rooms of AA, you had to re-raise your hand. I'm a newcomer. I have 30 days again. And you're actually treated like an infant. And it's degrading. It's, there's this shame and guilt like that the culture of AA doesn't talk about much. The point in this isn't saying that sobriety dates don't matter. They do. They're important. What's also important is if you've had some time, 1 year, 9 months, 9 years, and you have a slip, I don't believe, this is my personal opinion, you should be treated like you don't know anything. And I don't think you should carry yourself like that. It's that very treatment that people receive that keeps people out. They're afraid to come back in because of, it's super embarrassing the way that we get treated. Not all communities are the same. I've been in AA communities where I've been in AA communities where it was fire and brimstone, sit down and shut up, and if you had a slip, they just berated you and treated you like, just not a good feeling. And I've been in AA communities where you slip and there's compassion there and you're taken care of. You're not treated like you're an idiot. So I believe in beginner's mind and being humble. If you have a slip, to recalibrate. It's always beneficial to come into any experience with beginner's mind, slip or not. Instead of diminishing someone's progress after a relapse, I believe that sobriety should be seen as any long-term effort, whether it's education, career, or personal growth. Bottom line is, setbacks don't erase the progress that you've made. Relapsing isn't starting from scratch. It's starting from experience. But the sobriety date, the focus on the sobriety date of continuous uninterrupted sobriety without zero slips, that's perfection. So what I'm saying here is, if you believe in progress, not perfection, then you would favor this idea about accumulated sobriety. It should be a thing that we focus on as well. What would this look like in like a real day-to-day conversation? So let's say someone comes up to me and asks me, how long have you been sober? If you're in recovery, that's the number one question you'll hear all throughout the years. How long have you been sober? When's your sobriety date? And that's why this is important for me to talk about, because this is a single point of focus in a conversation and meeting someone and just talking, communicating about your recovery. This always comes up. If someone comes up to me and asks me about my sober time, I confidently share with them my accumulated sobriety. I give them my last sober date. Here's an example of what this might sound like. So I've been in recovery for 20 years. I have about 16 years of sobriety built up, and my last sobriety date was 2 years ago. That's actually a more accurate reflection, and I think people should be proud of their accumulated. This is my main point. You should be proud of your accumulated sobriety to the point where you should have no problem sharing that piece of information along with your last sober date. Wear them both like a well-tailored suit. You should be proud of both. If you're someone that had to reset your sobriety date recently or a couple years ago after 20 years of sober time, there's no reason to have guilt and shame in there. It's just my personal belief that bringing accumulated sobriety into the conversation along with talking about my sobriety date. I believe that will save lives. I've experienced it myself. The guilt and shame of coming back in and being treated a certain way, prolonged. And I know some people that just never come back in. I've talked to people that are just like, I don't want to face that. How sad is that? Someone wants to recover and they know where to go and they don't do it because they don't want to face the guilt and shame of the crowd, of the community. There's just something fundamentally wrong there. And I believe that we can correct this. And look, clearly I have some energy about this because I'm one of these people. It took a while to get sober. I had a long stretch of sober time and I had to reset it. I had to go through what it feels like to come back into the rooms. That's the other thing. I'm going to talk about luck. I want to talk about how luck plays into this whole thing. So no one should take credit for luck and grace, by the way. I might get some hate mail about this, but look, if you're someone that got sobriety right out the gate and no slips, I'm telling you that happened with luck and grace. Take credit for all the hard work, and anyone in recovery should take credit for all the hard work they put into this. If you don't think luck and grace is involved with recovery, I would do some inventory on your humility. And maybe you're not one of these people. Maybe you're one of these people that really do have humility about it. So yeah, on this topic of luck and grace, it acknowledges the effort we put into the work, but it doesn't claim ownership over the outcome. Relapsing isn't starting from scratch. It's starting from experience.